I want us to sometimes talk textbook definitions. There's too much textbook definition. Mweswa is giving me textbook definition. No. Politics, management of society. Let's apply it to yourself. When you go to your home, how do you manage your home? How do you manage your neighbors? How do you manage a village? How do you manage a parish? Politics is management of society. That's what the Westerns are telling us. But how does it apply to our culture? You are asking me about my culture. My culture here is that there is a way we manage ourselves. At home. Father, mother, children, our culture. When you are born, the first day you fall down, culture takes over. Today, in the modern sense, you go to religion. The third day, you go to school. Those are cultures building up. Now, I am saying the wildest liberal democracy, which is Western democracy, is being brought here. How do we infuse it with our own culture so that we understand it in our DNA? Are you with me now? Now, this is where culture comes in. Is it good? For example, the Western people are telling us about human rights. Is what is going on in Palestine human rights? Time has come for you to start questioning these things. So, practice is politics. You're asking me about governance and therefore accountability. That's auditing, not simple management. It's very simple management, how they have spent their money. That's auditing. It's for accountants. Let's get to the real thing. How do you want, you as Ugandans, how do you feel somebody should lead you? We have something in Buganda here called Oburungi-bwansi. What does Oburungi-bwansi mean? So some people say, oh, it's digging roads. No! Oburungi-bwansi means everything from your home to everywhere.
Are a receipt to violence. Why do political parties kind of become a receipt to violence? I will still take it back to the political will that I talked about from the beginning. When you have a state that does not believe in a system under which it is running, all are the issues that you will get into. When you have a democracy that has eroded the tenets of good governance and the pillars of democracy, that institutions of government have been fused into an individual, then you will have a recipe for violence when it comes to elections. Why am I saying this? When you look at countries in the report that have had a recession in terms of democracy, and recent times where we are seeing countries that are resorting to coups, they are countries that have used the military against the population during elections. When the military is used to participation in the elections, they have this feeling that if we are the ones sustaining the leadership, then we can do it ourselves. And so you will find that those who have been meting violence upon the citizens during campaigns, and that is why majority of us are saying, you know, political parties are vibrant when it is only campaign time. When campaigns are over, political parties go into recess. Do you ever ask yourselves why political parties seem to be in recess when there is no election? By the way, even when there is an election, do political parties, which are not in government, operate freely and at a same level ground like those that are in government? We are alive to what happened in 2020 when we are into the build-up to the elections of 2021. That those who were on the opposition and torture. So let's remember that in this report, the public thinks we have media freedom. And there is a reason for that. For the past 3 years or so, like 2022 and back, I wasn't going much to the field, because I also edit.
But these days, every time I attend a press conference, I am shocked. An official will say something that I expect like 10 questions on that statement. And surprisingly, reporters will get their phone or whatever recording tool they have, put it there. Once that person is done speaking, they ask for the Uganda version and they walk away. That is not a function of torture from the state. That is a function of people going through the motions of work, either because their employers are not paying them, or because their employers are asking them for too much that they cannot deliver. I have also worked as an editor and been shocked by editors where you actually tell her or him, if we do this, this story will be better.
Started the conflict, you know, the various perspectives to conflict. The conflict is human. For as long as we live, it is inevitable. It is also relational. Captain Babu talked about it. But in the midst of that, from the perspective of iPod, I remember in 2018, there was a political leader of, and they are still political leaders, who came to the Secretariat and said that, you know, President Museveni has continuously kept away. Please, even if it means us meeting and having a cup of tea with him, it is enough. And one of my contentions as a student of democracy is that the democratic values are something that grows over time. For me, I looked at it at that time as, okay, an appreciation to a certain level. So we need to know that some of these things take baby steps. Now, much more particular to your question, 2026, we are going to get into elections. And I can tell you, without fear of contradiction, that if the current environment in which we operate is sustained, we will definitely have conflict in 2026. Why? If our leaders close the spaces of expression and participation, it's going to happen. And this is not only to government, even parties on the opposition. For as long as that is happening, we will have conflict. Then two, if we do not partake of the opportunities that are aimed at generating a common agenda, what kind of Uganda do we want for the future? If we do not participate, let me also tell you that in Uganda, one of, I will not mention the others, but in conflict management, they are what we call suppliers of violence. One of the constituencies that are known to be suppliers of violence are the youth. So if the youth are not engaged, are not mobilized, they will still supply violence in 2026. So one of the things that we are working on majorly in iPod is to ensure that in the build-up to 2026, our leaders come together
to make their relative influence to people's views and perceptions of democracy. But there is one that I think I can build on here. The idea that we want, as Africa, more political parties to increase the level of choices we can have when we are electing our leaders. But at the same time, we are so dissatisfied with the way multi-party politics has worked, because each time parties compete for political office as they should in a democracy, in our case, there is violent conflict. Now, we needed to find ways as a country to bring our leaders together, because our political leaders can't talk to each other. And currently, there are political parties that if they asked you to bring them on the table, you are like, which one do I call? Is it party version A, party version B? And it is very unhealthy. Now, probably let me tell you this as I close, that to some of us who have sworn to be non-partisan, you may say, those things don't concern me, those are political parties. right? But no, because those political parties are constitutionally mandated vehicles to drive your level of democracy forward. You should care when they are in a turmoil. Because when they are suffering, when they can't breathe, so to speak, your democracy won't as well, and you won't also enjoy it. Because certainly what we have chosen in that referendum of 2005 to go multi-party meant that we should have these as viable vehicles. We have more data we can share in that regard, but I think the extent to which we can dialogue